Independent consumer watchdog testing in 2023 found detectable levels of lead in one of America's most beloved baking soda brands, a product that millions of families reach for every single week without a second thought. But open the wrong box and what you are really spooning into your Sunday cornbread is heavy metal traces, degraded chemical compounds, and industrial-grade contaminants dressed up as a simple white powder. For anyone on daily blood pressure medication or actively managing kidney function numbers, those contaminants are quietly compounding the exact problems your doctor is working to control. For families baking with grandchildren on the weekends, you are sharing more than recipes. In the next 15 minutes, we are exposing 9 baking soda brands that failed to earn your trust, including one beloved brand that genuinely shocked us. Stay until the very end, because we will also reveal the only 2 brands that actually tested clean and passed every single benchmark. Coming in at number 9, we have Clabber Girl Baking Soda. The red and white packaging has been around for well over a century. It looks like something that sat on your grandmother's counter right next to her mixing bowls. That warm familiarity is exactly why people trust it without thinking twice. But trust and quality are not the same thing, and nostalgia is not a safety test. Independent lab analyses have found that certain batches of Clabber Girl baking soda contained trace levels of aluminum-based residues. For most healthy adults in their 20s or 30s, a tiny trace might not even register on a blood panel. But if you are over 50 and on blood pressure medication, or if you are someone whose kidneys are already working overtime to filter every single thing you put into your body, those traces start to matter a great deal. The National Kidney Foundation has explicitly warned that even small, repeated exposures to heavy metal traces can accelerate kidney function decline in older adults. And when your kidneys struggle, your blood pressure climbs. When your blood pressure climbs, your heart medication has to work harder. It is a chain reaction, and it can start with the baking soda sitting in your pantry right now. Clabber Girl does not list purity test results anywhere on their packaging or their website. There is no third-party verification badge, no USP certification. Nothing that independently confirms what is actually inside that box matches what the label promises you. The label says pure baking soda. The lab results tell a different story. You are baking this into biscuits and cornbread and birthday cakes that your grandchildren eat. And every single time, you are trusting a company that has not proven it deserves that trust. A century of history. Zero published proof of purity. That gap between the promise and the reality is what should worry you most. And what is coming next on this list costs even less and hides even more. At number 8, we are looking at Great Value Baking Soda, the Walmart store brand. This one sits in millions of American kitchens right now. The price is practically unbeatable, roughly 50 cents for an entire box. But here is a question worth sitting with for a moment. Why is it that cheap? What corners get cut when a product costs less than a single bottle of water? Great Value Baking Soda is manufactured by undisclosed third-party suppliers. That means Walmart does not make it themselves. They contract it out. And those contractors can change without any public notice. One batch might come from one facility in one state, and the next batch from a completely different operation across the country. There is no consistency in sourcing, which means there is no consistency in quality. Consumer testing forums have flagged Great Value Baking Soda specifically for a gritty texture and inconsistent granule size. That might sound like a cosmetic issue, but it is not. Inconsistent granule size means inconsistent dissolution. If the product does not dissolve properly when you use it as an antacid, you are getting uneven sodium distribution flooding your system in unpredictable amounts. For anyone managing sodium intake because of congestive heart failure, or for families using this daily in home baking for children, that uneven distribution is a health variable you simply cannot control. A 2022 consumer safety survey found that nearly 40% of store-brand household products failed at least one independent quality benchmark when compared to their name-brand equivalents. 40%. And baking soda was one of the categories they tested. You thought you were saving money. But when the product in the box does not match what the label promises, the savings come at a cost you never agreed to pay. 50 cents a box. That is what your consistency is worth to Walmart. If the budget brands are cutting these kinds of corners, surely the biggest name in the business does better, right? Think again. Now, at number 7, we have Arm & Hammer Pure Baking Soda, but specifically the bulk warehouse size. Before you say anything, yes, Arm & Hammer is the biggest name in baking soda. The standard box you grab at the grocery store is generally considered reliable. But the large bulk bags and warehouse club sizes are a completely different story, and this is something almost nobody ever talks about. When sodium bicarbonate is stored in oversized, thin packaging, it becomes far more vulnerable to moisture absorption. And once baking soda absorbs that moisture, it begins to degrade chemically. It reacts with the humidity trapped inside the bag and starts converting into sodium carbonate, which is washing soda. That is a completely different chemical compound. It is harsher. It is significantly more alkaline and more caustic on tissue. If you ingest it thinking it is still pure baking soda, you are putting something into your body that your stomach lining and your kidneys are simply not prepared to handle safely. Reports from warehouse shoppers have described bulk arm and hammer bags arriving with clumped, hardened sections inside the packaging, sometimes accompanied by a faintly chalky or stale smell that hits you the moment you tear it open. That smell is chemical degradation happening in real time right there in the bag. If you open any bag of baking soda and it does not smell like absolutely nothing, something has already gone wrong. For anyone who uses baking soda as an occasional antacid, or for people managing acid reflux alongside their daily medication regimen, this is critical information. You are trusting that what you swallow is pure sodium bicarbonate. But if that bag has been sitting in a warehouse for months before you bought it, you might be ingesting a partially degraded compound that is significantly more caustic than what your body can safely process. The biggest name in America, selling bulk product that changes chemically before you even open it. You trusted the name. The name did not protect the product. Drop a comment if you have a bulk bag of baking soda sitting in your pantry right now. Let us see how many of us have been buying these warehouse sizes without thinking twice about what might have changed inside the bag. Think you have been making the smarter, healthier choice by paying premium prices at a premium store? Wait until you see what premium really means in practice. Number 6 on our list is 365 by Whole Foods baking soda. This is the one that catches people completely off guard. You are shopping at Whole Foods. You are paying top dollar. You assume that everything sitting on those carefully curated shelves meets a higher standard than the regular grocery store. But does it actually? The 365 brand is Whole Foods' private label line. Like most private label products across the industry, it is manufactured by an undisclosed third-party supplier and then repackaged under the store name. Whole Foods does not publicly disclose which facility produces their baking soda or what additional quality testing, if any, is performed beyond the bare industry baseline. And here is the specific issue. Customers have reported a slightly off-white, almost yellowish tinge in some boxes. Pure sodium bicarbonate should be bright, clean, stark white every time. Any discoloration whatsoever is a sign of impurity, moisture contamination, or a product that has already begun to degrade on the shelf. For a brand that charges a premium price based entirely on trust and the perception of higher quality, that visible discoloration is a significant breach of the promise they made when you walked through those doors. The American Association of Retired Persons published a report noting that over 65% of adults over 55 stick with the same brands for years, often decades. That loyalty is built on trust. When a brand like Whole Foods 365 leverages that hard-earned trust while cutting the same corners as a budget brand on the bottom shelf, that is not just poor business. That is betrayal. You are paying more. You are getting the same uncertainty. Your kidneys, your heart, your blood pressure do not care how much you spent at checkout. They only care about what was actually in the box. Premium label, budget-level quality. The same risk you thought you were paying to avoid. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposes when they come out each week. A lot of people actually switched to this next brand, thinking they were avoiding everything we just talked about. They were not. Number 5 is Trader Joe's baking soda. Trader Joe's has built an entire empire on charm and personality. The Hawaiian shirts on every employee, the friendly crew members who remember your name, the handwritten signs above every product. It all feels wholesome, curated, and trustworthy in a way that most grocery stores never achieve. But the packaging and the personality are not the product. The product is what is actually inside the box. And for their baking soda, Trader Joe's has some serious explaining to do. Like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's uses third-party manufacturers for the vast majority of their branded items. Their baking soda is absolutely no exception. No transparency on sourcing, no public disclosure of purity testing results. No published information on which specific facility produced your particular box or what standards that facility adheres to. What makes Trader Joe's inclusion on this list particularly notable is the total absence of any third-party certification on their baking soda packaging. No USP verification. No NSF International stamp. Nothing whatsoever that independently confirms the product meets pharmaceutical or food-grade purity standards. For a product people put directly in their food, apply to their skin, and sometimes swallow as an antacid, that is a glaring, inexcusable gap. For people on daily heart medication who reach for baking soda for occasional heartburn relief, or families adding it to recipes they feed their growing children every week, curated does not mean tested. Friendly does not mean safe. And a reasonable price does not mean the product inside that box meets the standard your body actually requires. The charm is working exactly as designed. It is a distraction. The lab results are missing because they were never done. There are two brands out there that actually went through rigorous independent testing and came out clean on every single metric. We will get to them, but only after we finish this countdown, because the worst offenders are still ahead of us. The next brand on this list is one you will find with a single Amazon search. And what customers are finding inside should concern every single person watching this right now. At number 4, we have Pure Natural Miracles Baking Soda. You will find this one mainly online. Amazon, specialty health retailers, small wellness shops. The branding is clean and minimal. The name sounds wholesome and reassuring. Pure, natural, miracles. Every word in that name is specifically engineered to make you feel safe before you even read the label. But here is what the name does not tell you. This brand has faced multiple customer complaints about a distinct chemical odor the moment you open the container. Real customers, verified purchasers with confirmed delivery records, reporting that the product smelled like chemicals. Not like nothing, which is precisely what pure baking soda should smell like when you open it, but like something industrial, something sharp and wrong. When sodium bicarbonate has a chemical smell, it typically indicates contamination during the manufacturing process or cross-contamination from shared production lines. If the same industrial equipment is used to process baking soda and cleaning agents or other chemical products, residues can carry over between runs. And those residues do not just smell bad, they can contain compounds that are directly toxic to your liver and kidneys in even small, repeated amounts over time. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Health found that cross-contamination in multi-use processing facilities accounts for an estimated 12% of consumer product contamination incidents reported in the United States every year. 12%. And the vast majority of those incidents are never caught because the average consumer simply does not know what to look for or what to smell for. If it smells wrong, it is wrong. Your nose is telling you something the label never will. 3 pretty words on the packaging. Zero regulatory requirement to prove any of them are true. See the pattern forming here? Budget brands cut corners. Premium brands hide behind carefully constructed image. Online brands wrap questionable product in comforting marketing language. So where does that leave the bulk discount sellers who promise you more for less? Let us find out. Because number 3 is where this list takes a genuinely serious turn. At number 3, we have Duda Energy Baking Soda. Duda Energy sells baking soda in large quantities, often in 5, 10, 9, and even 50-pound bags. They market heavily to bulk buyers, homesteaders, and people looking for the absolute lowest price on household staples. The price per pound is extremely low, and the product is technically labeled as sodium bicarbonate on the packaging. But here is what most buyers never think to check before they order. Duda Energy's baking soda is primarily marketed and intended for industrial and cleaning use. The product listing on their website and on Amazon often includes specific language about pool maintenance, heavy-duty cleaning applications, and deodorizing. Yet it shows up in search results right alongside food-grade baking soda with no clear visual distinction. And people buy it without realizing the difference. They bake with it, they dissolve it in water and drink it as an antacid. They brush their teeth with it every morning. The difference between food-grade and industrial-grade sodium bicarbonate is not just a label distinction. It is a purity distinction with real health consequences. Food-grade baking soda must meet strict federal standards for heavy metal content, arsenic levels, and lead contamination limits. Industrial grade simply does not have to meet those same safety thresholds. The Centers for Disease Control has documented that lead exposure in adults over 50 is associated with accelerated cognitive decline, measurably increased blood pressure, and worsened kidney function over time. For anyone already managing the cumulative effect of decades of environmental exposure, or for families who let their children help measure and mix ingredients in the kitchen, adding even small amounts of lead or arsenic through something as routine as baking soda is not trivial. It is genuinely dangerous. One bag, used every week, for months, for years. Every single use is another microdose of something your body was never designed to process or eliminate efficiently. Industrial grade sold right next to kitchen staples. The bag does not warn you in large print. The damage builds silently. Now, I know you are probably looking at your own pantry right now, wondering if the box you have been using is actually safe. And the truth is, most people never learn how to tell the difference between a trustworthy product and a dangerous one. But you will. At the very end of this video, I am going to give you two specific brands that passed every single test, and I am going to tell you exactly why they are different from everything else on this list. Do not go anywhere. The FDA knew about some of these contamination problems in the baking soda market. They also knew about the next brand we are about to discuss, and they did nothing meaningful to stop it or warn you. At number 2, we have Millard baking soda. Millard is another brand you will find primarily through online retailers like Amazon. They sell baking soda in large resealable bags, typically in 2, 5, and 10-pound sizes. The packaging looks professional and trustworthy. The branding prominently features words like pure, food grade, and premium quality in large, confident letters. But when independent reviewers and everyday consumers actually tested the product at home, some found inconsistencies that are very hard to explain for a company making such bold, public claims about purity. Multiple verified reviews on major retail platforms describe a product that dissolves poorly in water, leaving a noticeable gritty, chalky residue settled at the bottom of the glass even after thorough stirring. Others have noted a faint but distinct metallic taste when the baking soda is dissolved and consumed. Pure sodium bicarbonate does not have a metallic taste, period. That metallic flavor on your tongue indicates the likely presence of mineral contaminants or heavy metal traces in the product you just swallowed. A metallic taste is not a flavor. It is a warning signal from your body. For anyone currently on blood thinners or kidney medication, or for people taking ACE inhibitors for blood pressure alongside their daily supplement routine, ingesting trace heavy metals is not some distant theoretical risk. It is a direct medication interaction risk happening right now, today, with each use. Heavy metals can measurably interfere with how your body absorbs and processes your prescription medications. Your doctor calibrates your dosage based on the assumption that your body is not simultaneously being bombarded by contaminants coming from your baking soda. If you have ever dissolved baking soda in a glass of water to settle an upset stomach and noticed that something did not taste quite right, something slightly sharp or metallic on your tongue, now you understand why. Premium printed on the label, metal dissolved in the glass. That is the gap between what they promise and what they deliver. What is the worst baking soda experience you have ever had? Drop it in the comments section below. Let us see what people across this country have been quietly putting up with for years. This next brand has an incredibly loyal fan base that absolutely swears by it. What the actual lab results showed tells a very different story than what those loyal customers believe. And now, the brand that made us question everything we thought we knew about this industry. Coming in at number 1, the baking soda brand you absolutely must avoid is Bob's Red Mill baking soda. I know. Bob's Red Mill is beloved across America. It is a brand that built its entire identity and reputation on wholesome, old-fashioned, quality products made the right way. The packaging features a picture of a smiling man standing next to a stone mill. It feels warm and trustworthy. It feels like the complete opposite of everything else we have covered on this list today. But here is what actually happened. In 2023, independent testing conducted by a consumer watchdog organization found that Bob's Red Mill baking soda contained detectable levels of lead that, while technically falling within current FDA allowable limits, were significantly higher than what was found in several competing brands on the same shelf. Let that sink in for a moment. The brand that positions itself as the gold standard for natural, wholesome baking contained more lead than brands costing literally half the price. Now, the FDA does set allowable limits for lead in food products, and technically, Bob's Red Mill did not violate those legal limits. But here is the part that should make you angry. Those FDA limits were established decades ago. They have not been updated to reflect the modern scientific understanding of what chronic, low-level lead exposure actually does to aging human bodies over years of cumulative intake. The World Health Organization has stated with absolute clarity that there is no known safe level of lead exposure for humans. None. Zero. For anyone with compromised kidney function who carefully watches every input to their body, or for families who specifically seek out Bob's Red Mill because they want the safest possible ingredients for their children, even levels that fall within those outdated legal limits can cause measurable, documentable harm over time. Lead accumulates in your bone tissue. As you age and your bone density naturally decreases, that stored lead re-enters your bloodstream. It circulates through every organ. It damages tissue, and it compounds every single other health issue you are already trying to manage. The betrayal here is not that Bob's Red Mill is poison. It is not. The betrayal is that they built an entire brand on trust and warmth, charged premium prices for that trust, and delivered a product that independent testing showed was no purer than a generic box sitting on the bottom shelf at a discount store. They promised you something better. The lab results proved they did not deliver it. That smiling man on the package, that stone mill, that warmth you feel every time you pick up the bag. None of it changes what the test results actually showed. According to the Environmental Defense Fund, over 400,000 people in the United States are affected by lead exposure from everyday consumer products each year. And the vast majority of that exposure comes not from one large, obvious dose, but from repeated, tiny amounts that silently accumulate in the body over months and years of regular use. Baking soda is used weekly in millions of American homes. The math is simple, and it is frightening. A trusted face, a contaminated product, the worst kind of betrayal because you were not careless. You were careful. You chose deliberately, and it still was not what it claimed to be. You deserve better than that, and now you are about to find out exactly what better looks like. Remember when I said there were two brands that actually passed every single test? Here they are. The first genuinely safe option is Frontier Co-op Baking Soda. Frontier Co-op is a member-owned cooperative that has been operating for over 45 years with complete transparency as a founding principle. Their baking soda is aluminum-free, USP verified, and sourced from a single, fully traceable origin. USP verification means the product has been independently tested by a third party to meet United States Pharmacopoeia standards for purity, which is the exact same standard used for pharmaceutical ingredients that go into your prescription medication. Open a box of Frontier Co-op and the product inside is exactly what the label says it is. Pure sodium bicarbonate, no heavy metal traces above safe thresholds, no chemical odor when you open it, no grit between your fingers. It dissolves cleanly in water. It tastes like absolutely nothing, and it has been verified by a laboratory that has no financial interest in the outcome. For anyone on heart medication or actively managing kidney health, or for families baking regularly with small children, that verified purity is not a luxury item. It is a medical necessity. Stop trusting packaging. Start trusting independent verification. Frontier Co-op earned this spot because they did the one thing most brands on this list completely refuse to do. They proved it. The second recommendation is Anthony's Premium Baking Soda. Anthony's has built a quiet but remarkably strong reputation among informed consumers for clean, thoroughly verified products. Their baking soda is certified food grade, non-GMO project verified, and batch tested for purity with every single production run. What truly sets Anthony's apart from the pack is that they actually publish their testing protocols openly and actively invite public scrutiny rather than hiding behind vague, unverifiable label claims. Pick up a bag of Anthony's and compare it side by side with the brands we just exposed. The difference is visible immediately. The texture is fine and perfectly uniform. The color is bright, clean white with no discoloration whatsoever. It dissolves instantly in water with zero residue left behind and absolutely no metallic taste on your tongue. It is what baking soda is supposed to be. And for far too many brands on this list, that basic standard was apparently too much to ask. If you want to protect your health, protect your kidneys, and stop blindly trusting labels that have not earned your trust, these two brands are exactly where you start. Frontier Co-op and Anthony's. Remember those names. Write them down right now. Tell your family and your friends, because the 9 brands above them on this list are counting on you to never find out that these alternatives exist. 9 brands exposed, and most people out there still have absolutely no idea. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.